Hey there, it's the Stoic Pilgrim. Oh, wait. The Stoic Pilgrim. How's that? Hey, one thing I want to throw out here for a moment is, there's a myth about Stoicism where, to be a Stoic, you got to be like stoic. The word has taken on a meaning of its own. You almost have to be like Spock, where you haven't joy, happiness, you're emotionless, just and that's a misunderstanding of Stoicism. And maybe we'll get into that at some future date as well, but that's not what I want to talk about today. Past couple days have been a pretty good day, couple of days, very people-oriented days. And like yesterday morning, I did a video chat with my daughter, and I saw my son-in-law, and that just gave me joy. And then afterwards, I went on social media, and someone insulted me in one of my videos, and I want to get back to that, but they decided that they needed to insult me. And I just want to give a disclaimer about the contact here. You'll see me looking down at notes. I'm trying to use my notes more, kind of in response to what's been said. I'm going to move over here so that way we have a bit of a picture in the background. How's that look? So a little bit in response to what was said, but also I just want to give a kind of a disclaimer. These are just thoughts and things that I think things during the day, and I write them down in this little notebook, and I just try to put them into some sort of semblance of order. And they're just thoughts that, if I were writing this down and writing some sort of message, something in my blog, I hope the thoughts would be a lot more coherent. So sometimes they're not, sometimes they jump around a little bit, and I beg your forgiveness on this, but these are just thoughts that occur to me while I'm walking the Camino. And the reason why I do that is, to me, the Camino is life, or life in microcosm, I should say. A lot of the things that happen to you on the Camino, you can kind of like see how they apply to life in general. And one of the things is that people are a major component both of life and the Camino. It's great to stop and talk to people along the way. Frequently, as people are walking by, like today, for example, I told the story in the daily wrap up that I was coming through a gate, and it kind of had this thing where you opened it, and I really didn't see where you could unlatch the gate, but there was this little kind of like turnaround thing that you can kind of go through. And I tried to go through that, and I got stuck. And as I'm kind of like stuck and trying to work my backpack through, a girl came along, a young lady from Maine. I didn't get her name, or if we exchanged names, I don't recall. But she saw me, and I was like, oh, great. I got to get stuck when somebody walks along, and I'm now embarrassing myself. And once I got through, I saw how you could open the gate, and I opened the gate for her. Or, you'll also see where I encounter a couple of guys from Poland and a guy from Sicily. And we had a great time laughing and talking. And you'll see that in the daily video as well. But then there's the other people that you encounter on the Camino. And this is true for both the Français that I encountered last year and for what's going on this year. You see people who are working through some real pain. Met a couple of people last year who were suffering from PTSD, and they were working through those issues. Talked to a guy yesterday, we caught it on tape. We don't do tape anymore. We caught it on video where in one day he lost his job and his father, and the pain that caused him. And I've talked to other people off camera, and even some people that were on camera that chose not to share some of the real pain that they've gone through, and some of the pain that they're working out in walking the Camino. And I respect them for that. It's a challenge, not only to walk the Camino, but it's a challenge to walk the Camino, but part of walking the Camino and meeting that challenge is working through this pain. And that's kind of what you see on the Camino. But it's a real joy to talk to these people, whether they're happy and they're enjoying life and they're enjoying the adventure of the Camino, whether they're doing it because they just want to experience Spain, which is a great way to experience Spain. This is really a great way of experiencing Spain. Or they're just, they're just happy to be alive and they're going on an adventure, which is great. Some are going on a spiritual quest, which is also great. And some are working through pain. And meeting all these people is wonderful. I'm having, as I hope you can tell, as I hope come across in this video, despite the rain, despite the hills, despite the sore knee, I did get some anti-inflammatory for all those out there who are concerned about that knee of mine. But for all of us, it's a real joy meeting these people and talking with these people and sharing our stories, and it's great fun. Someone once told me that you shouldn't ask why someone's walking the Camino, which is funny because last year when I saved Nora's son, that was one of the ways in which you introduce yourself. Who are you? Where you're from? Is this your first Camino, and why are you walking your Camino? But I guess some people are hesitant to share, and that's okay because that's what you're privileged to do. We all walk our own Camino, and then sometimes you meet people that are not so good. I met a guy last year who had one of those big bushy mustaches. He kind of had a walrus mustache, and I walked up to him. Hey, how you doing? And just trying to chat with him. And he's like, hello, and just very short. Didn't really want to talk. Didn't want any companionship along the way. Meaning, just walking along, talking, sharing the day. He just wanted to be on his own thoughts, which is good too. If that's what you are. Then there was the guy this morning where I was obviously lost, obviously going the wrong way, and I said, hey, is this the way? And he goes, yeah, you're going the right way. You're going the right way. Yeah, keep on going. And I ended up stuck in some bushes, and I had to turn around. I told the story of how after I turned around, I came back and he saw me coming back, and he saw me, took off, and he's going up ahead of me. Now, mind you, there was one trail down into this spot, so he's kind of hurrying on ahead, and as he's hurrying on ahead, he's looking back, and I would have been mad at him. I thought it was a pretty good joke, and it really didn't cost me that much time. By that time, I had already been lost. So I don't know, maybe he thought I was upset with him. But that was a pretty good joke on his part, but he was the exception to the rule. Most of the people that I've met so far on the Camino have been very helpful, as I've mentioned a number of times. So you meet some people that are good, some people who are not so good. Felt sorry for the guy with the big bushy mustache last year, because later that day when we ended up in the town, it happened to be the town where they have that chicken. If you know about the Français, there's some sort of chicken. There's a long story, I won't go into that. But I was with a group of people that I'd met during the Camino, and we were all sitting and talking and laughing, and we were having fun, and he was by himself, which I guess is okay if that's what he wants to do. Someone said something about the United States during the conversation. The guy was from the States, and he stopped, and you could see him do one of these. So he was on his own. And, I guess in life you encounter all sorts of types. Some people who are nice, some people who are not so nice. Marcus Aurelius said that when you get up in the morning and you face your day, gird yourself. Be ready to expect to meet people that are not so nice, people who are unpleasant. And if you expect that, not expect certain people to do that, but understand as you go through your day, you're going to meet people that aren't nice. It's just the way life is. Maybe they're nice to other people. Maybe other people see them as nice, but in your interactions with them, you don't see them as nice. And you should expect that. and that you'll encounter unpleasant people during the day. And when you do, that's how it is. That's how life is. And if you expect it, then you're better prepared to deal with it. And, the thing about that, too, is that you don't know what they're going through in life. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know the path that they've walked or how they've gotten there. I think of my own life and the way in which I was raised, the environment in which I was raised. And I've been a very unpleasant person for many years. I'm trying to change that. But, people to whom I was unpleasant didn't know that. And, I can't really blame them. I guess, like I said, I can't really blame them. They don't know what I've been through. And at the same time, when someone's unpleasant to you, you can forgive them. You can even care for them. But for the sake of your own self-preservation, you kind of need to distance yourself away from them. And for those people who I've hurt in the past, I apologize. Not that that does much good. And for people who have chosen to kind of distance themselves from me because of my behavior in the past, well, I understand that too as well, because there are people in my own life that I've distanced myself from because they're hurtful to me. So again, I'm looking down at my notes, so you'll have to forgive me. But another thing Marcus Aurelius talked about was when someone calls you ugly. Now, I don't have the quote in front of me right now, and I wish I did to really expound on it. But when someone calls you ugly, well, if you're ugly, well, okay, you're ugly. Someone calls me bald, okay, fine, I'm bald. Look at me, I am. I can't deny it. They're only telling the truth. If they say I'm old. I know I'm old. Doesn't really bother me that people say, hey, you're an old man. Someone recently was being rather unpleasant to me, and they said, oh, you're an old coot. You're an old man. Why don't you go yell at the kids and tell them to get off your lawn? And I don't have any kids in my neighborhood for me to yell at, which kind of is disappointing for an old man like me. But, okay, so getting to the point. So, the thing is, if they call you ugly, whether you're ugly or not, they can't really hurt you because it's just words, and it's up to you to decide to do what to do with those words. So, getting to the point of what I started earlier, yesterday I kind of, after seeing my grandson and having such a happy moment, a person insulted me. They said, I don't know how to write. They said, you don't know how to write. That's all they said. And, I try to write well. Maybe I don't succeed. But again, the person obviously was trying to hurt me. It was using their words as a weapon of attack. Because if they really were concerned about writing, or if they really had some sort of observation about my writing style or how well I write, they would have said, well, you don't present your ideas in a coherent manner, or your sentence structure is terrible, you end your sentences with prepositions, which is something I try not to do. You're bombastic, you're a number of things, but they didn't actually cite anything that I said, anything wrong with my writing. They just said, you don't know how to write. Okay, well, now that can't hurt me because it's what I do with it. I don't know how to write. Well, I try to write well, but I'm going to try even harder. I'm writing my notes down when I speak, but I do try to write well. And perhaps this person saw some of my earlier work. David Sedaris recently, I saw him being interviewed, and he talked about how he wishes he could go back and kind of take all the books that he'd written in the past and and kind of buy them back from people, because he goes back and reads them and thinks, oh, I wish I didn't write it that way. And the person interviewing him said, well, gee, you really feel that way? Oh, I'd love to have all my old books destroyed because I see the mistakes I made. And the interviewer was, well, that's terrible. It's like, no, it means I'm improving. So yeah, I look at my past writing and I think, oh, wow, I really wrote that? That's the thing about writing as opposed to a performance. Well, I guess nowadays you can record singing performances, but if you write, and it's there in print, and if you screw up, you screw up. So maybe this person saw some of my old stuff, and they dislike my writing and say I don't know how to write because of my old stuff. Or maybe they just don't know like how I write. Really, I suspect because of their lack of specificity and in their complaint about my writing, I really didn't like what I said as opposed to how I said it. It was in particular about, it was in response to comments I made about Guernica. And I would imagine that there's some place in those comments that I said something that kind of rubbed them the wrong way. Which actually is fine by me if I'm provoking someone to thought. In fact, provoking them enough where they feel a need to insult me. Maybe I'm saying the truth, or maybe I'm saying enough for them to question what they see as truth, which is, I believe, the job of writers. So I don't think they did it because they really dislike my writing as much as they dislike what I'm saying. However, their lack of specificity leaves me just to wonder. So, but the other thing is, I don't know what's going on with that person. Maybe something I said when I talked about Mother's Day and women, maybe that bothered them. Maybe it bothered them that I talked about how both the left and right share in the trafficking of hate. I don't know, but she's on her path, on her Camino, walking her way, just as I'm walking mine. And maybe for whatever reason, there's something about my writing style or what I have to say that provokes her. But again, what's important is what I do with what she said to me. And I'm saying she, I was trying to keep the gender out of this, but it's important that I decide what's done with those words, what was said to me. And I've decided it can't really hurt me, but I can think about becoming a better writer and working on being a better writer. And that's something I've always done. I'm always in the mode of continuous improvement. And maybe I have to work a little bit harder. And maybe I think you have to think a little bit more about these comments that I make and make them a little bit more coherent. The content of anything I've said so far, I stand by. Although maybe the way I presented it wasn't good. So maybe I need to think about that some more. But as an author, someone who creates literature and writes about, and also writes nonfiction, I have to be concerned about my art. It is art. And I have to be concerned about being in a state of continuous improvement. So I'm taking those words and I'm going to do something with them. I'm going to do something positive with them, although they were meant to cause me pain. And that's really the Stoic lesson here, is that, we really need to do that in our lives. When someone is attacking us, we need to understand that we need to take those words and understand that they can't hurt us with those words. And we need to decide what we're going to do with them. That's the way Stoics are. In fact, again, I often talk about how Stoicism and Christianity seem to go hand in hand. I would think that's a pretty Christian thing to do as well. Maybe my Christian viewers could contribute to that and suggest how well that melds in with the Gospels and the teachings of Christ. I think it fits in well. So, in conclusion, when someone says something to you or of you or tries to attack you, it's up to you to decide what to do with those things. But to quote John, and I love this quote that he, a couple of days ago when we were in Bilbao, when John, our friend from Ireland, said, "Cast off everything until all you have left is love." So I'm casting off my ego. I'm casting off my sense of being a superior writer. I'm casting off all of those things. I'm casting off that desire to react in anger. And I'm going to have nothing but love. And that's what we should all do. Cast off everything we have until all we have left is love. And with that, I am going to end this. And I'm going to get something to eat because I'm hungry. And I don't know how I'm going to get something to eat in this rain. But hey, this is Bill, your Stoic Pilgrim, signing off for the day.